Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Jump lightly. Bypass. He skipped a row in the text and so the sentence was incomprehensible. A mistake resulting from neglect. Bound off one point after another. Leave suddenly. Skip town. Cause to skip over a surface. Intentionally fail to attend. A gait in which steps and hops alternate. Jump lightly. Twining perennials having cordate leaves and flowers arranged in cone-like spikes. The dried flowers of this plant are used in brewing to add the characteristic bitter taste to beer. An informal dance where popular music is played. Jump across. He hopped the bush. Make a jump forward or upward. Move quickly from one place to another. The act of hopping, jumping upward or forward, especially on one foot. Travel by means of an aircraft, bus, etc. She hopped a train to Chicago. Traverse as if by a short airplane trip. Jump lightly. Bypass. Descent with a parachute. Cause to jump or leap. The trainer jumped the tiger through the hoop. Pass abruptly from one state or topic to another. Jump to a conclusion. Rise in rank or status. Her new novel jumped high on the bestseller list. Run off or leave the rails. A sudden involuntary movement. Go back and forth. Swing back and forth between two states or conditions. Move or jump suddenly, as if in surprise or alarm. A sudden and decisive increase. A jump in attendance. An abrupt transition. Start. A car engine whose battery is dead, by connecting it to another car's battery. Move forward by leaps and bounds. Can you jump over the fence? Jump from an airplane and descend with a parachute. Be highly noticeable. The act of jumping, propelling yourself off the ground. He advanced in a series of jumps. Jump down from an elevated point. The parachutist didn't want to jump. Enter eagerly into. He jumped into the game. Film. An abrupt transition from one scene to another. Increase suddenly and significantly. Prices jumped overnight. Make a sudden physical attack on. The muggers jumped the woman in the fur coat. Rub with a circular motion. Travel across or pass over. Bypass. Make a passage or journey from one place to another. Fly over. Bypass. Any process whereby sounds or words are left out of spoken words or phrases. A mistake resulting from neglect. Neglecting to do something, leaving out or passing over something. Something that has been omitted. She searched the table for omissions. Bound off one point after another. Leave a camp. The hikers decamped before dawn. Run away. usually includes taking something or somebody along. Leave suddenly. She persuaded him to decamp. Leave suddenly. Used of milk and milk products from which the cream has been removed. Yogurt made with skim milk. Examine hastily. Read superficially. Reading or glancing through quickly. Move or pass swiftly and lightly over the surface of. Cause to skip over a surface. Travel on the surface of water. Remove from the surface. Skim cream from the surface of milk. A thin layer covering the surface of a liquid. There was a thin skim of oil on the water. Coat, a liquid, with a layer. To move about or proceed hurriedly. Cause to skip over a surface. Glide easily along a surface. Twitch the hook of a fishing line through or along the surface of water. The omission that is made when an editorial change shortens a written passage. Weed out unwanted or unnecessary things. We had to lose weight, so we cut the sugar from our diet. Cut down on. Make a reduction in. The employer wants to cut back health benefits. The act of penetrating or opening open with a sharp edge. His cut in the lining revealed the hidden jewels. Made neat and tidy by trimming. In baseball, a batter's attempt to hit a pitched ball. He took a vicious cut at the ball. Used of rates or prices, reduced usually sharply. Lessen the strength or flavor of a solution or mixture. Cut bourbon. Cut and assemble the components of. Cut recording tape. Used of grass or vegetation, cut down with a hand implement or machine. Reduce in scope while retaining essential elements. The act of cutting something into parts. His cuts were skillful. Refuse to acknowledge. She cut him dead at the meeting. Turn sharply. Change direction abruptly. The car cut to the left at the intersection. Be able to manage or manage successfully. She could not cut the long days in the office. Mixed with water. Sold cut whiskey. A refusal to recognize someone you know. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. The barber gave him a good cut. Sports. A stroke that puts reverse spin on the ball. Cuts do not bother a good tennis player. Style and tailor in a certain fashion. Cut a dress. With parts removed. The drastically cut film. A wound made by cutting. He put a bandage over the cut. Create by duplicating data. Cut a disk. Cease, stop. Cut the noise. Cut off the testicles, of male animals such as horses. A piece of meat that has been cut from an animal carcass. Make out an issue. Cut a ticket. A trench resembling a furrow that was made by erosion or excavation. A remark capable of wounding mentally. The unkindest cut of all. Intentionally fail to attend. Cut class. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. He played the first cut on the CD. The division of a deck of cards before dealing. He insisted that we give him the last cut before every deal. Of a male animal, having the testicles removed. A cut horse. Cause to stop operating by disengaging a switch. Cut the engine. A canal made by erosion or excavation. Allow incision or separation. This bread cuts easily. An unexcused absence from class. He was punished for taking too many cuts in his math class. A share of the profits. Everyone got a cut of the earnings. A step on some scale. He is a cut above the rest. Discharge from a group. The coach cut 2 players from the team. Dissolve by breaking down the fat of. Soap cuts grease. Divide a deck of cards at random into 2 parts to make selection difficult. Wayne cut. Fashioned or shaped by cutting. A well-cut suit. Fell by sawing. Hew. The Vietnamese cut a lot of timber while they occupied Cambodia. Film. An immediate transition from one shot to the next. The cut from the accident scene to the hospital seemed too abrupt. Form by probing, penetrating, or digging. Cut a hole. Form or shape by cutting or incising. Cut paper dolls. Function as a cutting instrument. This knife cuts well. Give the appearance or impression of. Cut a nice figure. Grow through the gums. The new tooth is cutting. Have a reducing effect. This cuts into my earnings. Have grow through the gums. The baby cut a tooth. Hit a ball with a spin so that it turns in the opposite direction. Cut a ping pong ball. Make an abrupt change of image or sound. Cut from one scene to another. Make an incision or separation. Cut along the dotted line. Make a recording of. Cut the songs. Move one's fist. His opponent cut upward toward his chin. Pass directly and often in haste. We cut through the neighbor's yard to get home sooner. Pass through or across. The boat cut the water. Penetrate injuriously. The glass from the shattered windshield cut into her forehead. Perform or carry out. Cut a caper. Reap or harvest. Cut grain. Record a performance on a medium. Cut a record. Separated into parts or laid open or penetrated with a sharp edge or instrument. The cut surface was modeled. Separate with or as if with an instrument. Shorten as if by severing the edges or ends of. Cut my hair. Stop filming. Cut a movie scene. The act of reducing the amount or number. The mayor proposed extensive cuts in the city budget. The style in which a garment is cut. A dress of traditional cut. Of pages of a book, having the folds of the leaves trimmed or slit. The cut pages of the book. The elasticity of something that can be stretched and returns to its original length. A light, self-propelled movement upwards or forwards. Spring back. Spring away from an impact. A natural flow of groundwater. Develop into a distinctive entity. Move forward by leaps and bounds. The season of growth. The emerging buds were a sure sign of spring. A metal elastic device that returns to its shape or position when pushed or pulled or pressed. The spring was broken. A point at which water issues forth. Develop suddenly. Produce or disclose suddenly or unexpectedly. Form the boundary of, be contiguous to. Bound by contract. A light, self-propelled movement upwards or forwards. Spring back. Spring away from an impact. Covered or wrapped with a bandage. An injury bound in fresh gauze. The greatest possible degree of something. What he did was beyond the bounds of acceptable behavior. Usually followed by to, governed by fate. Bound to happen. Headed or intending to head in a certain direction, often used as a combining form as in college-bound students. Children bound for school. Place limits on, extent or amount or access. Move forward by leaps and bounds. The horse bounded across the meadow. A line determining the limits of an area. The line or plane indicating the limit or extent of something. Bound by an oath. A bound official. Confined by bonds. Bound and gagged hostages. Confined in the bowels. He is bound in the belly. Held with another element, substance or material in chemical or physical union. Secured with a cover or binding, often used as a combining form. Bound volumes. A light, self-propelled movement upwards or forwards. Cause to jump or leap. Pass abruptly from one state or topic to another. Leap into fame. A sudden and decisive increase. An abrupt transition. A successful leap from college to the major leagues. Move forward by leaps and bounds. The child leapt across the puddle. Jump down from an elevated point. The widow leapt into the funeral pyre. The distance leapt, or to be leapt. A leap of 10 feet. Look down on. Be oriented in a certain direction. The apartment overlooks the Hudson. Leave undone or leave out. A high place affording a good view. Look past, fail to notice. Watch over. I am overlooking her work. A shape that is spherical and small. He studied the shapes of low viscosity drops. Remove, cargo, people, etc., from and leave. Drop off the passengers at the hotel. Grow worse. Fall or descend to a lower place or level. A sudden sharp decrease in some quantity. A drop of 57 points on the Dow Jones Index. A free and rapid descent by the force of gravity. It was a miracle that he survived the drop from that height. Let or cause to fall in drops. Stop associating with. They dropped her after she had a child out of wedlock. Pay out. A small indefinite quantity, especially of a liquid. He had a drop too much to drink. Get rid of. Cause to fall by or as if by delivering a blow. Hang freely. The light dropped from the ceiling. A steep high face of rock. A steep drop. Stop pursuing or acting. Drop a lawsuit. Leave undone or leave out. A curtain that can be lowered and raised onto a stage from the flies, often used as background scenery. Lower the pitch of musical notes. A central depository where things can be left or picked up. A predetermined hiding place for the deposit and distribution of illicit goods, such as drugs or stolen property. Change from one level to another. She dropped into army jargon. Fall or sink into a state of exhaustion or death. Shop till you drop. Give birth. Used for animals. The cow dropped her calf this morning. Go down in value. Stock prices dropped. Let fall to the ground. Don't drop the dishes. Lose a game. The Giants dropped 11 of their first 13. Omit a letter or syllable in speaking or writing. New Englanders drop their post-vocalic R's. Take a drug, especially LSD, by mouth. She dropped acid when she was a teenager. Terminate an association with. Drop him from the Republican ticket. The act of dropping something. They expected the drop would be successful. To fall vertically. The bombs are dropping on enemy targets. Utter with seeming casualness. Drop a hint. Leave undone or leave out. Prevent from being included or considered or accepted. Fail to perceive or to catch with the senses or the mind. I missed that remark. Fail to experience. Fortunately, I missed the hurricane. A young female. Be without. There is something missing in my jewelry box. Leave undone or leave out. How could I miss that typo? A failure to hit, or meet or find, etc. A form of address for an unmarried woman. Fail to attend an event or activity. I missed the concert. Fail to reach. The arrow missed the target. Fail to reach or get to. She missed her train. Feel or suffer from the lack of. He misses his mother. Failure to act with the prudence that a reasonable person would exercise under the same circumstances. Fail to do something. Leave something undone. Give little or no attention to. The trait of neglecting responsibilities and lacking concern. The state of something that has been unused and neglected. The house was in a terrible state of neglect. Willful lack of care and attention. Leave undone or leave out. Lack of attention and due care. Fail to attend to. He neglects his children. Leave undone or leave out. Prevent from being included or considered or accepted. Jump across or leap over an obstacle. Leave undone or leave out. Defeat oneself by going too far. Leave undone or leave out. Disregard intentionally or let pass. A wrong action attributable to bad judgment or ignorance or inattention. I could understand his English in spite of his grammatical faults. An imperfection in an object or machine. The quality of being inadequate or falling short of perfection. He knew his own faults much better than she did. Geology. A crack in the Earth's crust resulting from the displacement of one side with respect to the other. They built it right over a geological fault. Put or pin the blame on. Electronics. Equipment failure attributable to some defect in a circuit, loose connection or insulation failure or short circuit, etc. It took much longer to find the fault than to fix it. Responsibility for a bad situation or event. It was John's fault. Sports. A serve that is illegal, e.g., that lands outside the prescribed area. He served too many double faults. A misconception resulting from incorrect information. A wrong action attributable to bad judgment or ignorance or inattention. She was quick to point out my errors. Baseball. A failure of a defensive player to make an out when normal play would have sufficed. Inadvertent incorrectness. Part of a statement that is not correct. The book was full of errors. Departure from what is ethically acceptable. Computer science. The occurrence of an incorrect result produced by a computer. A wrong action attributable to bad judgment or ignorance or inattention. He made a bad mistake. Identify incorrectly. Don't mistake her for her twin sister. An understanding of something that is not correct. He wasn't going to admit his mistake. Part of a statement that is not correct. To make a mistake or be incorrect. Spring back. Spring away from an impact. A glancing rebound. Ring or echo with sound. Spring back. Spring away from an impact. To throw or bend back, from a surface. Be reflected as heat, sound, or light or shock waves. The waves reverberate as far away as the end of the building. Have a long or continuing effect. The discussions with my teacher reverberated throughout my adult life. Treat, process, heat, melt, or refine in a reverberatory furnace. Reverberate or. A movement back from an impact. Spring back. Spring away from an impact. Spring back, as from a forceful thrust. Draw back, as with fear or pain. Come back to the originator of an action with an undesired effect. The backward jerk of a gun when it is fired. Spring back. Spring away from an impact. These particles do not resile but they unite after they collide. Formally reject or disavow a formerly held belief, usually under pressure. pull out from an agreement, contract, statement, etc. The landlord cannot resile from the lease. Return to the original position or state after being stretched or compressed. The rubber tubes resile.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.